market. Okay, here we are. Let me check this real quick. There's a message. Idea. Cool. Righty-o. Dev time, dev time. Like I said, part of the system that I put together for the chat will make it easier for me to identify the people that are joining in and can get put on the writing group list. So that way we can get credits. But I'm only going to be able to actually probably build that list over the weekends. So as we work through the week, I'll be making the main list and then adding it to the credits on the weekends. So hopefully we will be able to keep that up and going. That could be good for all of the stuff. Alrighty then. So that is all set. This is all set. Now, as we left our episode yesterday, we had determined that we had finished up with pretty much with the uncle and granddad story. And we're going to move over to our main character, or the boy story. We talked about a couple names for him too. Let's see, those have run a couple times now, so we can go ahead and get a new Firefox screen up. Open this up. Back over here. So yeah, so we have plenty of stuff for granddad and uncle. Not really sure we need to be in that. We got kind of a little bit of a, see, is this the right one? Oh, that's right, because we moved over to a Word document. Oh, let me open a Word document. I forgot about that. Make it a blank. Bring it up on the screen. It should be this one. All right then. So today's quest is the boy. Things we know. One thing we know, in fact, let me move this over a little bit because it is behind me. I think it's where you guys can see it all. So what question do we need to answer for the boy and the village? Okay. So the boy, questions we need to answer is, where are his parents? Why is he with his granddad? Okay. I think these are good starting points here. The parents were away. Yeah, they were. So we can answer that now. It's like, okay. Yeah, I think probably the way you worded it is better. His parents were weighed on a Viking rear. We'll just put. Yes, they would. You know, the if you even because they were shield, the women were shield bearers. I think I forget what the exact word was, but yes, they would both be on the same raid. You know, because even the women, it was shield maidens. Yes, even the women had fighting experience. The bot, okay. Bot is with the grandfather, studying under him. The boy, you mean the boy? Yeah, because we could say is that the parents left him with granddad. Because actually, this is the same answer to both these. And we're on a raid. And this is obviously the. I think I'm screwing shit up. Hmm. I think this is the big question: is what does he believe? If he was studying under Grandpa, then there's a lot of things that. Well, we've already established that the boy is around 7 years old. So he was around 7 years old at the time of the accident. We believe they are still alive. We haven't said that they haven't. We did question whether they were alive at one point. I don't think we ever came up with the final answer, but I actually like the idea of them still being alive because then it's more of a good thing that the boy makes it back. Because we do have a problem with our three endings with the grandpa uncle story. Is because if we do have that thing where the boy has to make the decision at the end to either back grandpa, back the uncle, or don't back either one of them, that's we have three different endings there that may make it difficult for him to go back. But if he does go back, going back to his parents would technically, to me, be a good thing. But we haven't really discussed it, so yes. Well, because either way, even if they were dead, he wouldn't know it because he was pulled into the rift. So he doesn't know if his parents are alive or not. So even if the boy did make it back, they could still be dead. But if he believes they're alive, I think he should believe they're alive. Yes, it absolutely can. You're right. What he believes is irrelevant. However, I think that we have to. I think as a player, I want to know if my character does have any beliefs. Now, if he's visiting grandpa, we could do it. It could be a situation where he hates going to his grandpa's, and he went to his grandpa's reluctantly because mom and dad were off to do whatever, and this thing happened. And now he's stuck with his grandpa. Or it could be a situation where he loves his grandpa. He wants to learn everything that his grandpa has to teach, and then the rift happens, and he gets pulled away from his parents, and he misses his parents. There's several ways we can go about this, but we still have to know as a player what our motivations are. I think that even though it's probably an easy way out, the I want to get back to my parents is does work. When he does come back and grandpa's dead, yes, he probably thinks that grandpa's the only person that can get him back to his parents. And when grandpa disappears and he has to go look for him, he's looking for him so he can get home. If that makes sense. I think that the morality of today probably wasn't the same then. So to make a blanket statement saying no matter what you're going to make time for your kids, I don't think that's true. I do, when people ask me, I do suggest that they do that. However, the grim reality is sometimes you can't, and I have already admitted my guilt on this faction quite a few times because yes, my work was important, but it was absolutely important to me, and I wasn't at every single thing for my kids. I wasn't there every moment of every day. Yeah, we could do something like that. That's perfectly legitimate. Which can also create a really good. And what I read was Grandpa tea. I almost knocked my tea over. I need to put that back where it belongs. Let me put this up here because you make a good point, and I want to make sure that we preserve it. Okay. So Grandpa teaches us the way of the mystics. Grandpa doesn't like it when I ask about the mechanics, machines, whatever. But when I sneak off into town, I can see that they have so many cool gadgets. They look like fun, so I want to play with them. But Grandpa gets very upset when I do. I think that's completely legitimate. Yeah, I say to people all the time, I worked way too much when the boys were growing up. So I'm completely guilty of that, and I know how work can pull you away. And I'll reiterate this: if you let it, and when the boys were little, I let it because when let's be completely honest about this. when I went through my divorce and stuff like that, it completely devastated me. And the only thing I had was my work for a while there while all the divorce stuff was going through. And it, it was a tough time. Yeah. I wouldn't say for me personally, I wasn't trying to avoid family time. I thought I had lost family time. I was wrong. So, but one thing it did do is when visitation and stuff like that came up, I always was there. I just wasn't there every day because I couldn't be. So, okay, make sure children are in your legacy, sometimes in more ways than one. Okay. We had a zombie raid coming in, so my dad let work take him away. Partly why they got divorced. Well, I can see that too. Yeah, I admit wholeheartedly I was not there for everything. And zombie. Sorry, I thought I was making too much noise chewing. I turned my mic off apparently. But we have to remember that both parents being home and there with the kids is pretty relatively new. Because I remember even in the 60s, when I was growing up in the 60s, you didn't see your dad. They were working all the time. Mom was who you saw all day long. And then dad would show up and you'd see him at dinner, possibly. And then on weekends, but he was usually off and gone on those days too, but I don't know. It's going great Uncle Unclean or great Uncle Ann. See, now my brain keeps trying to fix it. So yeah, I mean, we have to remember I barely saw my dad until he retired from work when I was 13 or 14. And I'm a millennial. Yeah. Because dads weren't, I'm sorry, but moms ruled the house. Mom ruled the kids. Dads, for the most part, in the 60s, 70s, when I was growing up, were non-existent. And when they were around for disciplinary action, not for, not sitting on the couch hanging out and with your arm around them or anything like that. When Dad got home, it was a violent action. Leaving early in the morning and be able to pick me up from school when I was young. Oh, that's cool. Well, that's cool. Melv, that's awesome that your dad was able to do that. Yeah. Yeah. So dad's being there all the time and being not, I want to say, with, and being like huggy and being um, a day to day support for children's growth and stuff like that is still a relatively new thing. And, I mean, because I was raised is you became an adult, you got a job, and then the you kept that job and worked that job to make sure that everything at home was taken care of, but not necessarily that you were taking care of it. You were providing the financial support to take care of it, which the moms usually did. And yes, it's old school way of looking at it because I was old school. I was raised in old school. I didn't see there either my parents, mom. 16-hour days. Yep. Dad was trying to when he could, but not often. And at a certain point, it felt like it was more so I can do most of the work while he gasps, gossips with people. I'm away from home 50 hours a week due to work, commute. Every weekend and evening is chores time. Yep. So the girls get a lot more mom than they do dad. Yeah, that's where the majority of people go, or where the majority of the people are, because you have to remember that number one, unfortunately, not every household can survive on one income. So both parents do have to work sometimes. In fact, I think it's more often than not, you know, and the other chores have to be split up as well. Yeah, it was, but never saw him in the morning. Yeah. It's new of dads hugging their kids. So true. Yes, absolutely. Our job as dads were to come in and say, okay, don't cry about that. And it led to some hilarious things when, not hilarious, but it led to some interesting conversations. Because I remember when the boys were little and they'd fall and scrape their knee or something. And I, I would say, are you bleeding? And they go, nope. I go, then you're not really hurt. I said it most as a joke, but the problem is that they got to, if they weren't bleeding, they weren't complaining. Um, and the first time they did bleed, they completely lost it. It's like, I'm bleeding. Oh my God, I'm really hurt. So you live and you learn. Yeah, my father figures were many, simply because mom had several when we were growing up. I'm a stay-at-home dad now, though. Oh, that's cool. My poor wife and son. Yes, yes. What's dad doing? He's puttering around. Yeah, my problem is I can't sit still for that long. Even with the kids, it was like, okay, let's go do something. When we had weekends, I had things planned and we went and did things. But when we didn't, I mean, it's like, okay, work. hugging is important, and learning to have constructive dialogue with your children is important because that's going to build a lot more trust. And that's what they need. They need to know that you are there, and that they need to believe that they can trust you. It's very important. But back to our kid here. For reasons, mom and dad left him with grandpa while they went, and who knows, maybe they went to, I don't know, what did Vikings do for fun? The only thing I know that Vikings like to do was go out and fight. So, what did Vikings do for fun? Two truths we can hopefully accept. One, family values have evolved, yes, but to the middle of the 19th century, people were focusing on numbers. The more kids you got, the more more kids you got, the more like it is that at least one makes it through. Yes, absolutely. You got to remember before, and I'm not saying this from a political standpoint. I'm saying it from a reality of the times before that stuff. Is a lot of people did have more kids because they hoped that the more they had, the bigger chance it was that one of them would survive or two of them would survive. Because there was a lot of things that killed kids way back in the day, and we managed to get around some of them, but some of them are starting to come back now too. So that's a little bit scary. So I'm hoping that nowadays it's common for both parents to be around. Yes. Back in old ages, it's even more common to have relatives help with the raising of children. Yes. And I'll say this is you're using the term old ages. Old ages is like 50 years ago. It's not like we're talking about the dark ages or way back when Vikings ruled the world, Old ages was like 50 years ago. Or yeah, axe throwing or painting ruins, yeah. Is a Viking board game. Apparently, they played board games for fun. Oh, that's cool. Nothing to do with politics. A lot of people had more kids because Bjorn was deadly. Yeah. Skulls, thank you very much for the follow. I think it's Ghouls. Okay. Diarrhea. You mean diarrhea was deadly? Yeah, diarrhea was deadly. Polio was deadly. Measles was deadly. There was a lot of stuff that was deadly way back in the day. And kids were very susceptible to all of them. Yeah. So apparently skiing was also popular. I believe so, but also your ability to die by interaction with trees while skiing was also quite popular. Isn't that how Sonny Bono died? I think that's how Sonny Bono died. Is he was skiing and hit a tree. I'm pretty sure that's how Sonny Bono died. Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah, you got to remember. I mean, even if you take the human part out of it, the fact that you've survived as long as you have is actually quite a testament to your abilities, to our abilities as humans. Because there's a lot of things out there that are just waiting for just the right thing. But yeah, So we have our kid. So all parenting issues aside, parents leave him with granddad. He wants, how about we, instead of saying he believes that his parents are alive, he wants to believe his parents are alive. Um, element, element box. Thank you very much for the follow. Sorry, there's a line through it. Okay. Anyways, back to the parents. My votes are they left on a raid, told the boy to listen to his grandpa until they return. Short while after the accident happened, and people forgot that the average lifespan 100 years ago was 50. 200 years ago, it was 40, and 500 years ago, it was 35. Yeah, so that's why we had talked about the fact that in those days it was very, we got to remember that for here. That's why I had asked the other day about whether, when we were talking about the boy last time, is I was asking whether what at what age do they come of age in the Viking community? And it was 10, which is why we made him 10 in the first place. Is he, if we say that his formal years, which is 1 through 7, were with mom and dad and all that stuff, and then the rift happened. And then 3 years has passed since the rift happened, and now he's 10, and grandpa disappears, so I think that kind of works from a timeline point of view. Yeah, it works. But yeah, we have to keep it the fact that people didn't used to live this long. It was very rare that anybody, God, made it to 40 or 50 even in some points in history, whether it was dysentery or animals or anything else. I mean, we were not as protected as we are today, you know, and when you have a tendency to eat anything you can find, sometimes it's poisoned. The earliest you can leave the boy with grandpa is 4. So 7 works out. Maybe he comes and goes with grandpa every time mom and dad go out on something. But right now we have him at 7 years old at the time of the accident. 10 at the time of GD's disappearance. Now, people, I mean, I'm going to have to look it up, but I think that people didn't start living to 60 or 70 until, was it in the 1900s? Yeah, it's just the last raid he was left alone with. Yeah. Why people were placing their bets qualified over quantity. Nowadays, it's all about quality. I mean, because like if I was alive in those times, I probably would have already died at the age that I'm at. Because of my lifestyle, the things I eat, the way I take care of myself and stuff like that, I've held up pretty good for my age. But a lot of people don't. So in ancient Greece, some of the big minds of that era are said to have lived up to 80 or more years. Is that true? Hmm. Oh, some sources in Discord. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Share link. Okay. The wonders of the modern medicine. Yeah. Oh, wow. Cool. Do we really live longer than our ancestors? Visit the site. It opens over here. I like data. Data's always good. Yeah, so today the average age for males to die is 72. So I'm in trouble. I only got 9 years left. Okay. What am I gonna do with those 9 years? First United States global come. Oh, wait a minute. The average person born in 1960, the earliest year the United States began keeping global data, could expect to live to 52.5 years of age. Today, the average is 72. The UK, where records have been kept longer, the trend is greater than in 1941. A baby girl was expected to live just 42 years of age, a boy 40. In 2016, a baby could expect to reach 83 and a boy 79. Yeah, so, yeah. But if we look, does it go back to beliefs of species, blah, blah, blah? Okay, birthday. So 70. Okay. The averaging out, however, is why it's commonly the ancient Greeks and Romans, for example, lived to just 30 or 35. But was that really the case of people surviving a period of childhood? And did it mean 35-year-old was truly considered old? Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to read here, but yeah. August himself died at 75. Yeah, so. Okay, that until the age of 30, under Emperor August, this was later lowered to 25. So I guess the average age of during his time was 25, but he lived to 75. Yeah, so interesting. That's a very interesting article. I'll have to read the whole thing later. Thank you, Cervantes. Yeah, there are a lot of families that live a good long time. But I think that those are anomalies in the genetic gene pool. Like even August here, who they said died at 75, the average person in his time lived to 25 or 35. You know, if you made it to like 43 and stuff like that, it's if I'm understanding it right, because I didn't read the whole article. If you lived to 43, you could become a consul, but that's eight. It says it's 8 years older than the U.S. minimum age limit of 35 to hold the presidency. So, yeah, that's interesting. It's an interesting thing. So yeah, so I don't think. I think we have to look past his age, and it's funny because my brain goes, well, what would it be in dog years? So if we average it out, meaning if we say that the average age that a male could live in Viking time, assuming all the issues that the Vikings have, if we say 35 was the max, just I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying let's as an example. 35 is the max. So if we said that he's 10 and we equate that to modern ages and how people live, and we'll say that people live to 70, so it's double what that is. So technically he would be a 20-year-old today as a 10-year-old then. Does that make sense, or am I completely just off my freaking rocker here? Yeah, you're right. The average is that low because of the sheer amount of things that can kill you. Absolutely. There are Anglo-Saxon villages where nobody seems to have lived past 40, but hard work and sickness take their toll. Yeah. There's also places where more people than average live past 100, which I find fascinating. And we got a zombie. Sorry. Uh, Lost on brains. I'm glad we have these conversations though, because that's part of, in all honesty, that's part of development is going and learning new things and finding out new stuff. So now, if we look at it as, oh, he's not a defenseless 10-year-old as we know them today. He's more of a seasoned 20-year-old, for lack of a better way to put it. We can. There's a lot more things we can do with him. From a standpoint of things that he knows and stuff like that. Because if his father and mother were both fighters or shield maidens and fighters, he had been raised with all that stuff, and I'm sure that dad would take him out and teach him how to wield an axe and all that stuff. And I'm sure he would have already been doing sword play and all those things with dad. So, like Vicky the Viking. I don't know what Vicky the Viking is. Oh, I mean, my big first death would have been October 19th, year 1980, when I had a car parked on top of me. That was not fun. Maybe not times two. Well, I'm just using that as an example. Kids didn't get to be kids for too long. They'd have to learn a craft and how to fight from an early age. So 10-year-old would have life expectancy worth 15-year-old today. I can see that. I was using the double one as an example, but your point is correct. The training would have been different because there wouldn't have. I mean, they had the ruins, but I don't think they did a lot of writing. Everything they did was around fighting so that they could die in battle. Or this is my impression. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Everything they did was to train to fight in battle so that they can die and go to Valhalla. If they didn't die in battle, then they were lost forever. Yeah, I mean the whole apprenticeships would have been a thing then too. Was the kid apt to be just a fighter, or was he learning blacksmithing? Was he, what options? Because at 10, if it's that's their you're a man now stage for, I'm just using that as an example, um, is would he have already picked a profession? Which means would he gravitate towards someone in town that is doing the job that he was trying to apprentice for? And is that person a person he was apprenticing with? So maybe he goes to town every day, goes to the other town, the mechanical town, every day to do his apprenticeship for whatever it is. Maybe he was learning how to use ruins too. Maybe Grandpa was teaching him that, and then he was learning a trade. No ruins are something left for Sears. Oh, okay, I did not know that. Well, Grandpa, what is Grandpa? Everything keeps coming back to Grandpa. Grandpa's a pain in my story ass. No. We're priorities on our crafts such as blacksmithing, tailors, leather workers, or if you don't have a craft, you better know how to fight. Because life will be rough. Since Grandpa is a mystic, he would be teaching him runes, giving us an easy explanation as to what makes our main character special. Okay, so he would probably be teaching him runes at home, but would he, because he has had 3 years. My thought is, what other things would, even though he's learning that from Grandpa, what other things would he want to do that Grandpa couldn't teach him? And also give him a reason to go into town. Go to our Word doc and put that in there so I have it in one place. It's funny, it puts the little shield there too. That's funny. I find it funny. Sorry. Just wondering, do you have a link to a list of what games you are planning to play in the future? Oh, yeah, just the ones I worked on. So like after we finish Warcraft 1, we'll do we'll have Justice League Task Force, then Warcraft 2, then Diablo 1, then I believe StarCraft's after that. Diablo 2. I do have a list, actually. I haven't looked at it in a long time because we've been burning through stuff. Let me see. Where did I put that list? Okay. Weekdays, share, codes, permissions, release dates. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. Not After Effects. Okay. So here is the ones that I'm looking at right now. This is our list. And we're on Warcraft Orcs and Humans right now. We're about halfway through the Orc campaign. And then there's Justice League Task Force, as I thought. Then there's Warcraft 2, then Diablo, Lost Vikings 2, StarCraft, Diablo 2, Warcraft Reign of Chaos, World of Warcraft, the original. So we have to maybe get on the old school server. So like the old school one. And then StarCraft, Wings of Liberty, Diablo 3, and then Hearthstone. But yeah, this is where we're at on the list right now. So hope that helps. Boys will be boys. He'd want to find something to do that's fun. Yeah. Which goes back to what kind of people, someone had said that they had board games. What kind of board games? Fishing's also another thing you might like to do, you know? Because we do have the lake and the fishing area that we had talked about before when we were building the first city. Now that we have settled on a Viking world, I don't know if they had formal schools or if it was what they would learn fighting at home and then some trade. But yeah, I want to find a love interest. Yeah, there may be someone that he likes in town. That's also a reason why it's good to give him an apprenticeship in town, because we can have more interactions with people that are not of his grandfather's sect, if that makes sense, and give him options for friends and relationships and things like that. So you're absolutely right. Yeah, there's a boys always have rivals, no matter what. Yes, it was a fighting game. Left to right, you know. Left side, right side, pose, 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 fight. You know. There is one World in Justice League Task Force that has a huge Easter egg that we will talk about at the time that nobody ever found. I only knew about it because when I was given the level backgrounds, the backgrounds for the levels to clean up, I noticed it. But most commonly, apprenticeships were passed down from family. Yeah. So whatever it does, it has to. Well, that leads to another question then. Granddad, mom's dad or dad's dad? Something we never talked about. Yesterday at a cafe, a girl said she recognized me from Vegetarian Club, but I'm sure I've never met her before. Ha 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 ha. Look it up. Look it up. It was a very interesting game. We will have to. Here, let me put that in. We put that on our word sheet. Yeah, I've never heard of it. So. Because we might be able to make an adaptation of it to as a mini quest or something. I'm fairly new here and have been jumping in and out of the stream. What's happening now? We're trying to determine. We're working on the boy's background and what his motives are and things like that. Who is our main character, who we will be playing in the game. Well, if his parents are unknown warriors, he could be training to be good with a sword and axe, and with Grandpa being a mystic. Let's just say seer. He could be teaching him the power that comes with drawing ruins. But does he find that boring? He may find that boring. He may be more of a hands-on type person until Grandpa disappears and he realizes how much. Okay, that could be too. I'm new to the stream, coming over from Thor finally. Okay, cool. Welcome. Look. Well, good board games are, and if that board game has lasted this long and people are still playing it, then that gives testament to the fact that it's fun. I thought only women had magic among the Vikings. I don't believe that's true. Am I wrong, or is Mistress Darna correct? Let's go. In Viking. No, not both men and women could be mystics or practitioners of magic, known as Shiori, Seior, with a thing over the or, with women being called Vaklur, Sekrol, I can't pronounce these words, and men being called Sedman. Mm. Yeah, so it's both men and women, not just women. Here's what. Wonder if it'll let me do this. I haven't tried this before. Here. Used to play a Viking priest at LARP. I really delved into Viking lore. Cool. In Greek mythology, only women could be an oracle, but that's a different story. Stroy. That's a different Stroy. Yes. Mm. Yeah, let me put let me put this in our list here. I'll show you what I'm putting up here in a second because I'm putting it in our Word doc. Just for reference. Okay, so what this reads is this is the practice of magic as was practiced by both men and women. Female practitioners, women who practice were called a word I can't pronounce, were known as three words I can't pronounce. Males were practiced, another word I can't pronounce, were known as two more words I can't pronounce. In many cases, those magical practitioners would have had assistants to aid them in their rituals, while the historical record suggests that men were more often chieftains and battle leaders to the Viking times. Women could and did rise in the ranks of queen, revered warriors, and mechanic merchants. Viking women were farmers, business women, seers, priestesses, and in some cases, warriors. The Norse culture valued women enough to include women deities in their pantheon and attribute to them the same marital, martial, mar, wow, I cannot read today, skills and ability to determine their own fate as men. So that's the basics. Both men and women could be mystics. Yep. Mm-hmm. In Greek mythology, only women could. Yep. I type fast. Spell check is for noobs. I have to spell check all the time because I type stupid. I'm really good at it. Yes, I am. That's where English gets all of its th. I thought it was Marshall, but for some reason my brain tried to make it marital, and then it just kind of went, okay, no, it's Marshall, marital, Marshall. Yeah, pick a word, stick with it. No, it's no worries, Devil King. We got your back. All right, so back to the task at hand. I think we've and all that. So I think that it still kind of works. So he's 7 year old when the accident, 10 years old when granddad disappears. Um, I've not decided what that is yet. So he wants to believe that his parents are still alive. Um, that's right. I spelled that all messed up. Did I spell it right accidentally? Really? No, that can't be right. Okay, well. And wants to get back to them. Apprenticeship with the tavern as a brewmaster. That would be kind of cool. Wow, I spelled a word that I didn't know that I didn't know how to spell correctly. So that's actually good for me. Just like that. Laughing my ass off. Okay, cool. If it's my phone, I type incredibly awful ends for spaces and it's funny. Sorry, I got caught by something in the corner of my screen over here. I thought TikTok was gone. There's a thing in my screen saying, "Is your TikTok license revoked?" I go, "I have no idea. I don't remember ever going to TikTok, other than when people send me things to watch." Ruin is not. Of course, it's not. There, fixed it. The granddad was Viking raid. Okay, so I guess it's just his path, which we've already discussed. His beginning path. I don't think that there's going to be too many changes to it. There's going to be some. We could say that the main character is hopeful to be blessed to a blessed degree. He wants his parents to be okay and waiting for him on the other side, and is blind that even he, if they have returned, and is blind that even if they have returned, they might not be there. Yeah, they could have left because the town was destroyed. Hard to say. Let me put that up here with this part here. Alex Valley Music, thank you very much for the follow. You came in at just the right time for a Viking raid. I'm now starting to wonder. I'm hoping that raids or not raids. Yeah, I hope that the polling system for Twitch has been fixed because we're coming up on that time soon. Yeah, I'll be right back. I need to go check something. It's not a pterodactyl thing. I just need to check something. Mm. Ads. What is that? Those polls were acting weird yesterday. Oh yeah, the polls. You know, you get up, you're talking about something, you get up, you go take care of something else, and you come back and you're like, oh, what the hell was I just talking about? I don't know what was going on with those. Is they kept resetting in the middle of you guys voting, which I'm just like, that was weird. Never saw that before. Also, we were discussing the other day Discord with 2 times other yearlings. It would be cool to have blessed animal deities of each of the gods. For example, a serpent for Loki. I can see that. We also have to, from our conversation we were having yesterday, also, if, oops, okay. If Loki's the only one that knows, because the world tree hasn't reached the realm yet, at what point in our story does the world tree reach the realm? And the other gods see this realm that has been hidden by Loki for 3 years. Did you happen to catch how we could do the monsters yesterday? We talked about, I believe, what you're, Devil King, I think what you were talking about is that where they came through the rift, monsters from other realms came through the rift as well. And I was thinking a little bit about that is if that happened at the same time they came, then in the last 3 years, they've been able to drive them out of their village and protect themselves from them. But they still exist and they still do have to fight them and stuff like that on a general basis. So I need no name. My big problem is that I always, for some reason, when I'm selecting something to copy it, I always miss the first character, which I never understood why I do that. Also, because they lost the connection with their gods, that they have gone mad. Yes. Yes, we talked about that. Um, that's one of the reasons why Steve is a mess, because Loki keeps, when Loki comes to check on them, he pops into Steve and it screws Steve's mind up. Yeah, but right now we're talking about the boy, and we're going to talk. Oh wow, I didn't realize it was already 3:25. Um, yeah, right now we were talking about the boy. I think that he's pretty simple because most everything else he's going to have to learn as the player. No, no, that's fine. Put everything you're thinking about in. Yeah, I I'm very keen on having a record of who said what and stuff like that, so that proper credits can be given and proper acknowledgments. Because I don't always see everything because I get caught up in what I'm thinking and all that. So having that as a thing is a good thing. Two other hearings. Interesting theory. Interesting. Yeah, we definitely need a wolves and ravens. Well, that's an interesting concept. I like the idea of that. For the gods you're trying to communicate with, if their animal representation has the final piece for the altar you're trying to build, that could be interesting. Or if the god sends that animal representation to help you find it. Does that make sense? User reaches over once the boy restores all 9 spheres and surge into power draws the rest of the way. Okay. Not being kept pristine. Was losing track. Once the game is done, depending on the choices, you could use shrines to call the gods or take the uncle's place and rule over the realm. I think there's an answer in there. But it definitely is, we definitely need to pursue that because we want to know why. That was weird. I saw something in the camera where it looked like someone stuck their head in, but they didn't because nobody's here. I think each god has. Yeah, that's what we have to do is find out which 9 gods we're going to use, and then what their spirit animal is. For the blessed animals, the idea was between. Oh, okay, cool. Here, let me make sure I get that on my paperwork here. Evening, peeps. How's it all going? It's going well. We're going to be finishing up on this part here in a minute, so we got some stuff. We will. It's funny because the more we open, the more it opens up. There's a lot of stuff out there, but that's part of the whole thing. And but like I said yesterday, is I don't want to get to the point of complete overload of story points. There is a point of, yes, there's cool stuff, but huge diminishing returns. We have to keep in mind what we need for this game, not and not try to answer absolutely every single question, because that is, as put yesterday, would be huge scope creep. What's being worked on? Sounds interesting so far. Basically, we're trying to work on the boy story in our game and what he has. I think what the new things we have is we have his age pretty much locked down. He's been learning ruin casting from grandfather. He has an apprenticeship in town with one of the craftsmen. We haven't decided which one. You know, I think that'll boil down to what kind of kid is he? If he's blacksmith, then we want him to be kind of bigger and stuff like that. If he's a baker's apprentice, he can be a little bit slighter. You know, so we're just going over all those kind of things. Is what also we got some clarification on whether men and women both could be mystics in the Viking times, and we found that they can be both, and they were treated equally for the most part. I have some homework to look up a game. Yeah, so we're looking at different things. Just mostly trying to get a better understanding of the boy and what drives him and stuff. So we have the boy. Because of the accident, his niche in life has been altered slightly, and his focuses on trying to get home back to his parents and the glory of saving the village. Well, I don't think that I would say this is I don't think that the glory of saving the village is driving him. I think the family issues are driving him more than anything else. Get grandpa back so grandpa can help him get back to his parents in the other realm. Now, what Loki is doing is something beyond that, because basically he's playing them all against each other anyway, because that's Loki. That's what Loki does. So there's a lot of that kind of thing going on. But that's why we have to isolate each of them separately. As the boy, his motivation is he believes that grandpa is the only one that can get him back to his parents. Grandpa is missing, so he has to go find grandpa. You know, while he's doing that, we've already discussed that he knows some ruin casting because grandpa's been teaching him for the 3 years they've been in the other realm. He has an apprenticeship somewhere in town, and we'll discuss what that's going to be later. You know, but we also have to talk about how do these two things help him. You know, we also talked about when he goes to the altars of the gods that his grandfather has put together, and they're broken up, we can use the animal spirit for each god to assist him in finding the parts that put those shrines back together, and then as thus gaining a power from each of those things. My only problem with that part, because we've been using that from the very beginning when it used to be the ancestors, is if the gods can't see the realm, can he actually get power from their altars? Or is it a case of the gods can't see them, but the energy that the grandfather's been putting into them gives them a little bit of power on their own? Or are we seeping off the god? Is the grandfather seeping off the gods without their knowledge? So yeah, there's some. Well, it kind of fits. I think the most important thing to him is just saving his grandfather. You know, we can determine whether the add-ons that we've talked about today are viable or not. I don't know if they are yet. Homesick technically wouldn't be correct, and here's why: is because everything of his village technically went through the rift. So it's more of the parents thing. I guess you can call that homesick or relationship sick or mom and dad sick. I don't know. I don't know if it works. Granddad could have an old ruin for technique to channel the energy from the gods. Maybe. I mean, he had the ability to pull his brother's soul out and put it in a machine. So Grandpa has some power. We just don't know, because if he's channeling energy from the gods and the gods don't know about the realm yet, only Loki knows about it, then there's got to be my way of looking at it is it just such a little amount that the gods don't notice that energy is being taken from them? I don't know if that'll work, and here's why. It's because we've already discussed that the realm is hidden, and Loki has purposely hidden this realm so that he could be the leader of. He can have his own realm that he can lead, and that the world tree is aware the realm is there and its roots are growing towards it. That when the grandfather got kidnapped and his kidnappers broke up the altars, that the world tree loses track of where the realm is. And then what we can do, and this actually works out really good too, is as the boy restores each altar, the world tree starts to, for lack of a better way, triangulate where the realm is again. And once all of them are then the world tree starts growing towards it. I think that's what we discussed throughout the in and out of the conversation today. Maybe at that point, the gods start feeling stuff as the world tree now locks in on the location and maybe grows faster towards it than it was growing towards it before. I would say there's any fraction of the gods' power to where they barely notice it. But eventually, the most statues unlocked, the more the gods start to take notice something. Well, that's true, because maybe individuals, though all the statues were on a very minimal basis, as each statue is put up, maybe the world tree, though not connected yet, is close enough to tap out more god energy from the gods than before. Based in the amount of faith people have, the shrines store the energy for the gods, but the gods themselves do not have access to it, making it guardian animals go bad. True. But even though the guardian animals have gone bad, which is, you're right, that's what we were discussing before. What if once the statues are broken, the guardian animals are still connected to lose their connection as well to that, and they, even in their madness, want the statues restored. Does that make sense? And so they do help him. It's yeah. Are you reading my mind? Not that I'm aware of. Sorry. Devil King asked me if I was reading his mind. I go, nope, not that I'm aware of. Would Boy not be interested in mechanics in the least minor degree? Yes, of course he would. Given that Uncle is now machine, someone had to be potential engineer there. Well, we've talked about that before. Is he was made into a machine because his brother, the grandfather, his twin brother, the grandfather, and him were in a mine as kids, um, and the grandfather using magics. While the uncle was dying, the grandfather pulled his consciousness out of his dying body and put it into a mechanical device of some kind. So, though the kid lives with grandfather and the uncle lives at the top of the mines in the other side of town, I'm not sure how much interaction there is between the kid and the uncle. Because the uncle may hate the kid's dad or something. Who knows? There may be some kind of weird rivalry there. Look, you could hide. Oh, everything moved. Where'd it go? Okay, I could hide some energy of his misdoings, and Grandpa has access to it from that realm. No. Maybe. Okay, let's see. We're way past time, so we're gonna have to call it here. Let me grab these last couple comments here. Make this smaller so this gets easier. Just so I have them, so when I'm doing notes later, I need that one. Okay, so when this comes back, we're gonna go to raid because we are, oh wow, we're about 15 minutes behind schedule today. Let me do this. We're going to turn that on, turn these off, turn that off. Okay, we're all good. We'll run this well. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, it's behind it. Okay, I'm like, wow, I don't see the cup. It's behind there. Yeah, I don't think the Uncle Boy should be close at all. I think that the boy kind of avoids him. Yeah. I agree with your last statement, Sparta. Now let me save this so we don't lose it. File save. Save as this computer. Go to C, the show, game dev. And okay then. Where's my documents page? We're just finishing this up so we can put this stuff in here. Okay. Boy. Yeah, boy. I need to let loose. Here, you want me to run them for you? I can run them for you. Here, this is for Sparta. Not for me. I'm here, but that's for Sparta. Alrighty then. Let me put this in. I need this to end this section. And take the pterodactyls down. We'll go back to us for a minute.